Okay, so I wanted to talk about some of the equipment that I use here, specifically the solar panels and the charge controllers. The first set of panels that I got were secondhand, and they're actually no longer available. They're 280 watt panels, 50 volts, and I have them set up in strings of two to come in at about 100 volts. The total, six panels total, and that adds up to 1680 watts. So that's the primary array, but those are, like I say, those are no longer available. So we'll go around to the front of the house and take a look at the panels that are still available, which is more of a budget panel, but they do seem to be working pretty well. So we'll just come down here to take a look. Some in the front here, front of the house for the hot water heater, and up on the tracker, the same panels. These are Rich Solar 100 watt panels, and they're pretty inexpensive. They're about $90 a piece, so well under $1 per watt. About 17 and a half pounds each. They're about 40 inches by 26 and a half by about an inch and a half thick. And like I say, they're each 100 watts. So these are strung together for a 400 watt string, just like the one on the roof there on the tracker. Although the tracker is set up with all of them in series, and the hot water heater, I have it set up so that two of them are in series and then two series strings in parallel to get me the right voltage for my heating element. So they produce about 18 and a half volts operating voltage with a max of, I think it's about 22 and a half volts, and about 5.5 amps each they can produce. And they've been working pretty well, actually, for inexpensive panels, and they're fairly lightweight and easy to use. I've had pretty decent luck with them. So I've had these panels for a couple of years now, and they are pretty consistent. And if we look at the chart from just the last couple of days, you can see that if you look at the high power column here, you can see that they have consistently produced pretty close to or even above their maximum rated power from the 400 watt array. Okay, so let's head inside and check out the charge controllers. We'll head in and take a look at the displays first. These are the relocated displays for the three charge controllers. I've got the two solar, and then the wind turbine has a controller. The display for that is on the bottom here. You can see we're making a little bit of wind power right now, but not a ton. It is also a pretty cloudy day, so we're not making a ton of power from the sun either. You can see it's just barely pulling any power. It's 171 watts off of the main array. That's a 1680 watt array, so it's a pretty low percentage of its maximum rated power output. And this is one of the charge controllers installed. So this is what the midnight charge controller looks like. I just happen to have one in the box because I have it in the closet as a spare. This display can be removed, and you can see how I had them relocated in my hallway to make it easier for me to check the status of the system. They have a cable similar to this that plugs them in, so you can just get a longer cable and relocate those displays. And that's one of the reasons I like this, because you don't need to buy anything else when you buy these charge controllers. If you buy the Outback, which is the other charge controller I've installed, actually installed a couple of times for some neighbors, I don't use them here because I'm using the classics, but they're a good charge controller. The difference, though, is that you can hear my charge controller talking in the background. The difference is, though, that With the Outback, you have to buy additional equipment if you want to have a display remotely located, or if you want to connect it to other devices, or other charge controllers. This one, everything out of the box is ready to go. So if you want to relocate your display, you can do that right out of the box. Just get a longer cable. And if you want to connect it to several other charge controllers, like I have, so that one can be the master and the rest will follow it when it changes from bulk to absorb and then into float. All the charge controllers will always be on the same page, and that's functionality that exists right out of the box with these. So that's one of the reasons I use the Midnight. The other reason I use the Midnight, other than the fact that they're very good quality charge controllers, and plus the fact that these are the only ones that I've found that you can really use for a wind turbine as well. So I use the same type of charge controller on the wind turbine as I do on the solar. So um, but aside from that, you can also connect this to your network, and you can get application for an Android device or for your PC. I don't think they have anything for Apple products, but um, it allows you to have access to the information about what your system's doing uh, anytime you're in your house, and it'll also upload to the internet. So anywhere you are, you can go on your phone and look at the website and see what your system is doing at home, and that makes this one a lot more convenient than a lot of the others. But this is also one of the most flexible because it has the ability to control other devices as well. You have two auxiliary ports in this, and on my primary charge controller, the number two port is dedicated to what they refer to as a whiz bang Junior, I think, uh, which connects to a shunt in line with your power to your negative. I believe the negative side of your battery bank, and it detects current going in and going out, and that allows it to have a much more accurate idea of what's going on with your batteries, how full they are, and how much power is going in and out. So that's a almost necessary upgrade with these charge controllers. But also the other port on my primary charge controller for Solar One is controlling the opportunity load, hot water heater, preheat hot water heater. So I have that programmed through the charge controller itself to go on and off based on the voltage of the batteries. So when they reach their target voltage for more than a certain period of time, it will turn on the hot water heater, and when it drops below that voltage for a certain period of time, it will turn it back off. So very convenient, very powerful charge controllers. These are the charge controllers I use here in the main house. I do have a different kind of charge controller on the cabin because it only has a very simple system out there. But for my charge controllers in the house, I use exclusively the classics, and I have a classic 150 and a classic 200, and I believe I think I have another classic 150. So two classic 150s and one classic 200 on the wind turbine to give it a little bit of headroom for voltage.